Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening and welcome to Salam Media. My name is Zahid Jadwat. We are coming to you live from the Independent Electoral Commission's Results Operation Center in Pretoria, where the tensity is quite palpable here in the IEC ROC right here in Pretoria. As the vote counting gets underway, of course, many people across the country waiting with bated breath, just as the political parties and their agents waiting for the results to be announced. Of course, at this stage, just about 40% of all voting districts' ballots have been counted. That is as of this afternoon. And already, I think we're seeing, as things are starting to take shape, we're seeing the likelihood of coalitions. In fact, we have 31 hung councils at this stage when it comes to coalition governments. And this is, of course, three more hung councils than the 2016 election delivered in total. So this means many coalition governments are on the cards in the aftermath of this election. Of course, the parties are waiting for the results. Everyone is waiting. And I think we've seen how some of the parties, the ANC, in fact, has not even touched the 50% mark as yet. But of course, we still have time until the rest of the votes are counted and the full picture is shown to us. But what we're seeing right now, in fact, is that Herman Mashaba's Action SA is seeming to be gaining ground, especially in Gauteng. And we just got the news a few moments ago that they have actually won Ward 25 in Newcastle in KwaZulu-Natal. So it's a bit of both Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal, especially since we've seen that the Action SA has gained a few wards in Soweto, of course, which has for quite a while been seen as a traditional stronghold for the African National Congress. It's where the president cast his vote as well. Historically as well, it was generally seen as a stronghold for the African National Congress. But we're seeing the decline of the party. In fact, the ANC, they saying that they will start coalition talks once 70% of the results are in, and of course at this stage we're sitting at around 40%. We're still seeing how some of the other parties are also speaking with regards to their plans for coalition talks, and we are yet to see how this is all going to pan out in time to come. Of course, the EFF yesterday saying that they were quite confident that they would actually win a majority, especially in Johannesburg. But if we look at the results as they're trickling in now, it seems not so much. The EFF still sitting at around 12.75% of the votes which have been counted in Gauteng in particular. And then if you just zoom in to look at Johannesburg, the EFF is actually coming out fourth in the leaderboard, and actually Action SA is slightly ahead of the Economic Freedom Fighters in Johannesburg with 17.8% in Gauteng. I just want to check now if we've got Lulu White. She's going to speak to us. She's going to join us now on the show in a few moments to unpack this further and also to speak about voter apathy, considering that this is one of the lowest voter turnouts in history, of course, South African democratic history. And many of the news outlets have actually been reporting on this, and quite interestingly as well. So we're going to speak to, let me just welcome Lulu White now to the show. Lulu White is the founder and CEO of the Elections Management Consulting Agency. Good evening, Lulu, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me, Riyadh. How are you?
All right, Lulu, I think this past 24 hours we've seen quite a bit with the results trickling in slowly, I think, since the late parts of last night and, of course, over the course of today. At this stage, what are we seeing in terms of the leadership?
In terms of the leadership, we're seeing that the Action SA is definitely what people have been looking for. I think when the Action SA was first established, there was a lot of, hope from within the people of Johannesburg who were saying they were looking for change. So I think the leaderboard is actually a clear indication of that. Of course, the ANC is a very big political party, and the DA, therefore, it would be difficult for it to just be followed all in one go. But we are certainly seeing the elephant being bitten piece by piece, by the likes of the Action SA in this particular instance. I think it's also noteworthy to maybe mention that perhaps the EFF, in their strategy for elections, they could have shot themselves in the foot by saying that they are in support of foreign nationals being in the country, because the Action SA result could be interpreted as a direct response to people saying, you know what, that what the strategy of Action SA was, put South Africans first, is exactly what people probably needed at this particular instance. It's definitely interesting times.
Yes, indeed, it is interesting times, especially as the vote counting goes underway. But we've seen a lot coming out from the analysts as well. Analysts have been speaking on the progress of the vote counting, and some of them actually saying that Action SA, some of them placing Action SA's result at around 1% nationwide. And then if you just zoom into Gauteng in particular, where Action SA's campaign has been focused for the large part of it, they're putting them at around 6%. Where do you see Action SA emerging at the end of this?
Look, where Action SA is participating, I am definitely seeing them as the kingmakers. I think they are going to be egging, in those particular areas where they've decided to take place, they will be egging the EFF out of the way as kingmakers. I think we can already see in the city of Johannesburg. I have not really seen that coming through strongly in the city of Tshwane, because I still see that they're still number 3 in the city of Tshwane, but perhaps it's still a bit early to tell. But the city of Johannesburg has been really, really clear with what it is that they've wanted. I think mainly it's because of the fact that people have experienced the leadership of Herman Mashaba in the city of Johannesburg, and perhaps that is what a lot of people have appealed to, or what has appealed to a lot of people. But I'm definitely seeing a trend where the EFF is being egged out of the way by the Action SA, where the Action SA will be contested.
Yes, of course, and we've seen that this election has been faced with quite a low voter turnout. How do you think this would influence smaller parties and their support?
Look, I think smaller political parties are definitely in trouble, in that with smaller margins. One thing about ANC, and I'm going to repeat this. The one thing about ANC voters is that they're very homogeneous generally. They will always choose the ANC, and when they're not happy with the ANC, they will not go to the polls to vote. Smaller political parties, unfortunately, up until now, have really not been able to cultivate the art of being able to reach out to the voters, and that has been their biggest challenge. And with a lower voter turnout of this particular nature, I think that really does come through. You see, or all other political parties that are smaller than that, we have picked up because they have not really even been on the leadership board. That really kind of indicates that sort of like they kind of fizzle out when there's a lower voter turnout. They kind of really seem to exist in a way, and that's rather unfortunate. But it says a lot about how smaller political parties are missing up on opportunities to actually reach out to voters and convince voters to actually vote for them in those particular instances.
Yes, of course, and that now I think as the vote counting rather is underway, and from the results which we've seen, which obviously at this stage is not a complete picture, and of course as time passes we will begin to see a broader picture, and eventually we'll see the full picture. But I mean, in the build up to this elections, and if you'd recall, the Salam Media actually hosted a mayoral candidate debate in Johannesburg just last week, Wednesday. And I think many of the parties were quite reluctant to say that they're actually going to enter into coalitions. But now we've seen, we're seeing as the results are coming through, we're seeing that we actually, the likelihood of this is all the more as the results trickle in. So this puts the parties in a tough spot, doesn't it? Especially the EFF, for example.
Absolutely. Look, I think political parties, with the current electronic system, electoral system that we have, the existence of coalitions is going to be something that we have to live with. I mean, I was looking at the results of it earlier on. We've got about 31 hung municipalities currently. So And I mean, like we said, we're still very much in the early stages. We'll probably see a proper picture for maybe possibly by tomorrow morning. The existence of coalitions are here to stay. I think that's just one thing we all need to just accept as voters that coalitions are here to stay. I think what we should be doing as a community, civic society, and even perhaps with the Electoral Commission, is that the Electoral Commission or some form of body or saga sits around the table and sets up the terms and conditions so that these coalitions are actually beneficial to the people that it's meant to be of benefit for. But I think we should, it's one of those things that we need to learn in the current democratic dispensation that we have, with the current voting system that we have, that coalitions are going to be the order of the day. They have proven previously to be effective in other places, but in other places they've collapsed a few times, which can really show that they're unstable. So we need to find a stabilizing matter that would be brought on board so that when political parties go into a coalition, they are married, they are made to stay together in this marriage of convenience so that people who are affected by that union are beneficiated as far as the civil is concerned.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Lola White.
Thank you very much.
That was Lulu White, the CEO of the Election Management Consulting Agency, speaking to us about coalition politics, of course, and then earlier on speaking to us about the results and just a general overview of the results of this local government election. But that's where we're going to leave it for this particular discussion. When we actually just joined right now by the leader of the Al Jama'ah Islamic Party, Hanif Hendricks. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much for joining me.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
All right, Hanif, I mean, we've seen, so it's early stages at this point. Just about 40% of the votes have been counted. At this stage, Al Jama'ah, are you satisfied with the outcome so far?
I'm very happy in that all the wards we are contesting in the city of Cape Town and in the city of Johannesburg and in KZN, our votes have increased tenfold. So, for example, in the city of Johannesburg, we had 0.3%. We already have 0.9%, so it's tripled. And as you know, many of the votes must still be counted. We have already won the ward in Lenasia. We won the ward in Harding. We took it from the ANC. And we are doing quite well in some of the municipalities we've never contested before, like the Free State. Northwest, we came second. The ANC just beat us by 100 votes in Northwest near Brits. So Alhamdulillah, we are doing very well. So our campaign has been well in spite of the attempts by some Muslims to derail us. And Allah has shown that they can't derail us if we put a lot of effort in, because Muslims are put in South Africa to govern. We started off as a Muslim party. We are now a platform for all communities. We are much stronger in our faith, and it's deen first for us. I don't know how many times I must say that I'm a staunch Sunni. They call me everything else but a Satanist, these Muslim Maulanas and these followers of Maulanas. I haven't been called a Satanist yet. I'm a staunch Sunni. My ustads are some of the best ustads, and there are no ustads around like this with their qualifications. So that nonsense has been used to derail us. They say that I'm against the Sharia. How can one Muslim, especially a media journalist of a respected radio station, says that I'm against the Sharia, putting me out of the fold of Islam? But alhamdulillah, all of that has not derailed us. They also called us idol worshippers, just because our ward councillor did his duty as a ward councillor to take part in a Gandhi walk. And they photoshopped him so that it shows that they put flowers on the grave. That the Muslims are not listening to these stupid idiots anymore. And our votes have increased tenfold in the wards that we are now. And Alhamdulillah, in the new municipalities, we are increasing our footprint, and we are ready to govern. We are seeing, you see, the ANC has asked for a second chance. They've had 6 chances with 6 parliaments. People are saying wherever we go, we're not giving the ANC a second chance. We want Al Jamaat to govern and to assist us with our service delivery issues. So I'm very happy with how we're performing, but it's early days. We have some figures from our party agents. We have to wait for the official figures. And inshallah, we hope to increase our footprint, to increase our votes, and we are now ready for 224. And those who call us, I think now they're going to start using the word Satanists. They're going to go the extra mile now to try and derail us. Allah knows best, they won't succeed.
Right, so just to clarify, I mean, I want to speak to you about where you think what the party has done right, to give such a performance that you clearly are proud of. But just quickly, just to clarify with these statements which people have been making, and you say they have been trying to derail your party, just exactly why do you think people have been making such statements?
Look, it's funded by the DA and the Zionists, so they're all on the payroll, so they're just carrying out their job. Even in Cape Town, half of the MJC has been captured, and the DA has invested millions of rands to capture the MJC, which they've done, because they want to derail our party, and they won't succeed. They won't succeed. Why are we doing well? It's not because what I'm saying and defending. It's because we have a councillor in Lenasia, Imran Musa, who's showing the nation what the job description of a councillor is. And he's possibly the only councillor in the country that is doing real service delivery. Very dedicated, 24/7. And he's changed Lenasia around, and people have decided, they gave him just 200 votes more than the DA in the by-election, and now he's getting 5,000 more votes than the DA. So not because of anything, but because of his hard work. We've got Councillor Ahmed Tapalo Imam from Soweto, because we have the co-governing the city of Johannesburg. He is showing what an MMC must do. He is possibly a model MMC for the country. It's a pity that we didn't win more seats in Harding. We would have shown the nation how a municipality should be run. So it is because of the fact that we are fielding some respectable candidates. We got Riaz Randri from Durban. As you know, that he is with an organization that vets all donations in KZN. You can't go to any Muslim foundation or Muslim businessman unless they've checked your balance sheet. They've checked that you're bona fide, that you're not bogus. He is now our mayoral candidate for KZN. We have Advocate Shamima Sali, who was a senior advocate in a family court here in Cape Town. We have Marla Tuli, who was the daughter-in-law of Chief Albert Latuli as head of our Women's League. There are dozens and dozens of people that are coming forward, and they want to carry out the instruction of Rabbi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who said, "I put you on this earth to govern, not to co-govern, to govern." So once we were established as a strong Muslim party, and we're getting stronger as a strong Muslim party, we created platforms for other communities, for the Khoi, for the San, for the Griquas, for the Amatembu tribe, some large Christian groups, and then also there are many who come on board, but we just couldn't accommodate everyone. The reason Al Jamaat is doing well is because our Muslim NGOs like Give of the Givers, Al Imdad, Mustadafin Foundation, people have seen that Muslims, whether it is in the charitable organizations, in business organizations, in sporting organizations, are people with high moral values, are people who are generous, good neighborliness, people you can trust, people that keep their word. So when a Muslim party comes about, we fall in the same camp, and they expect the same from us, that we won't be dishonest, that we will be there for them, that we respect their dignity. So this is the first time I'm speaking my heart out. But many Muslim organizations, bogus Muslim organizations that call them jamiats, bogus muftis that I don't know where they come from, they give ijazas by using a pillowcase and swiping it over a person's face and makes him a mufti or a maulana. These people have gone on social media. They have tried to call us everything else while they know I'm a staunch Sunni. They have tried to say that we are out of the fold of Islam, and that is disgusting. And if you find Muslim radio stations, give them airtime. They should bury them and give them janazas, not airtime.
Yeah. Now, I mean, a lot of people probably wondering, because when Al Jamaa was formed, initially it did come across as solely a Muslim party for the Muslim community of South Africa. But I mean, as you've mentioned in this very interview, people have been joining the party from across the boundaries. At this stage, what exactly does Al Jamaa stand for? Are you standing solely for Muslim interests in South Africa, or has the party now broadened its interests, across the spectrum?
Look,
as well?
we are a Muslim party, staunchly embedded with strong Sunni values. We don't make no apologies for that. We don't exclude any other Muslim group from the party, but they must understand that's what we are. So what has happened is that the Muslims are only 2% in South Africa. There's no way we can govern South Africa if we don't go outside. So it was a strategic decision to get 1 or 2 seats. Otherwise, how are you going to get seats if you call yourself Chief Peace and Justice Party? A lot of parties call themselves Dignity Party, Chief and Justice Party. So we decide, let's call ourselves a Muslim party. And we went to 2 or 3 mosques. We were formed in the Lanzan Mosque, and people said, go ahead, we will sign the forms, because you need signatures to register as a party. And they said, go ahead, because at that time, only 15% of Muslims were registered as voters. So we felt we want to increase it. So let's start a Muslim party. And alhamdulillah, now that we have tasted what it is to be in all 3 tiers of government, we've got experience. I've got 7 years experience in municipal affairs, 2 years experience in parliament, 2 years experience. I've got an MPL in the Western Cape government. We now fully understand how the 3 tiers of government work. So we are very confident to strengthen our mandate from the Muslim community. We still have to fix the Marriage Act. We've got to fix the Nafaka Act. We have to deal with the fact that Saud gave the Saudi government the wrong impression that this is a Muslim country. That's why we've got a quota systems. We've got to fix that. And we also have to fight for visas on arrival when we get to Hajj, because I was responsible that the Saudis get visas on arrival here. When we helped the ANC in escort and in Joburg, I told them what I want in return is, after speaking to the ambassadors, staff at the embassy and making them a promise, I told the ANC immediately I want the Saudis to get visas on arrival so that they can bring investment, so that they can come and study here. And we want a reciprocal support from them. But unfortunately, the Saudis are slow to give us reciprocal visas. If they don't do so, I will ask, I serve on the International Relations Committee, and I will ask the Committee and Parliament to revoke the visas for Saudis on arrival if they don't give our Hajis and those who go Umrah visas on arrival, because during apartheid we got visas on arrival. Why must the Saudi government punish us because we are now a free and liberated country? They prepared to give the white man and the apartheid government under their rule. They were prepared to give Muslims visas on arrival. Now we must struggle to get visas, and we are dealing with that, and there are many other issues we are dealing with. So we still have a lot of work to do for our Muslim voters. That doesn't mean we can't bring other platforms on board. And I've told them, I'm not going to represent you in Parliament or in the provincial government or in the municipalities. You will represent yourself. You just use our platform.
Yeah, I mean, Al Jama'ah has been in Parliament, I think, since 2019. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah. These various issues affecting the Muslim community in South Africa, which you've mentioned, I mean, people would have expected that Al Jama'ah starts hitting the ground immediately. I mean, that's what generally voters expect without really understanding all the dynamics behind the scenes. What sort of timeline is Al Jama'ah looking
Yes,
at
the
to
one
resolve these
thing that
issues?
harms the dignity of Muslim women is that when they're in a nikah for 40 years and the spouse dies, the death certificate says never married. You can't, that's a low blow. So inshallah, before Christmas, the death certificate will not say never married. That's an undertaking we got from the officials at the Department of Home Affairs, from the Minister of Home Affairs, and from the Tula House. And if they're not going to remove the word never married from our death certificates, then to hell with the ANC.
And what exactly do you mean by that?
What I mean by that, they can expect no support from us anywhere in the country. It's because of Al Jama'ah that the ANC will win Laudium and Erasmia. We withdrew because we didn't want to split the Muslim vote. We were going to get 3,000 Muslim votes in Laudium and Erasmia, and we withdrew. Didn't campaign there, although our names may be on the ballot forms. And 1,000 whites registered in that ward. So the chances were that the ANC were going to lose Laudium and Erasmia to the DA if we contested. So we were approached by 75 Muslim businessmen from Laudium and Erasmia. And when I say 75, I'm not exaggerating. They all came to see me and they told me, please Al Jama'ah, withdraw. We will vote for you on the PR ballot. Just don't encourage your supporters to vote on the ward sheet. I don't know if those Laudium and Erasmia people have kept the word. We will see the numbers. If they've betrayed us, then I'm very upset with the businessmen and the billionaires from Laudium who came to see us. When it came to Soweto, we won half the wards. And we didn't want the ANC to lose Ward 10 in Soweto. But we already won half the voting stations. So we did something, don't ask me what, that's politics. We made sure that the ANC will win that ward. We couldn't allow the leader of the liberation movement to lose Soweto. We couldn't allow Laudium and Erasmia to lose a Muslim councillor to service them. Because the previous Muslim councillors, although belonged to the ANC, did a good job. And they didn't want a DA Muslim or anyone else to be their councillor for Laudium and Erasmia. They promised us funding from Laudium and Erasmia. We didn't get a cent yet. Those people make promises and they don't come, and we got some funding from how many gold mines, but not from one Muslim outfit in South Africa. They will support the DA, they will support the ANC, they will support the EFF, they will even support the ACDP, they won't support Al Jama'ah. I'm disgusted with the Muslim businessmen and foundations and charitable organizations who didn't give Al Jama'ah 1 cent for this campaign. So we did it, we went on our own. Because Allah told us you must strive and you must govern. And we want to govern in South Africa.
All right, I think, this has been quite an interesting discussion so far, and we've only just gotten into it, but unfortunately time is against us, so
I
we're going to have to
understand.
leave it at that. But I mean, there's quite a bit more which I would have loved to
You're
discuss.
welcome whenever there's
So
more
hopefully we
airtime,
can
yeah.
catch up a bit later, but unfortunately we're going to have to leave
No,
it
I
there
understand.
for
But
now.
thank you for the
But
opportunity.
thank you
I've
so
spoken
much.
my heart out. We are going to do the Muslims proud.
Inshallah.
And please don't call me a Satanist. I'm not a Satanist. I'm a stone Sunni. Don't call me other things along the line. I am really disgusted with those muftis, those ulama bodies, and the radio stations who push that narrative. I'm just sick and tired of it, but I'll carry on with my work.
All right, Hanif Hendricks, thank you so much for joining us. That was Hanif Hendricks, the leader of the Al Jama'ah party, speaking to us about various issues affecting the Muslim community and what his party aims to do to resolve this. Of course, the Muslim marriage bill, one of the key issues, and he says this would hopefully be resolved by December. So I think many of you might be waiting for that, hopefully, for a resolution with regards to that. Right now, I think we're going to take a quick ad break, and when we get back, we're going to be speaking to Imtiaz Sayed, the president of the Active Citizens Coalition. Please do stay tuned. Good evening, sir. How are you?
Good evening. Well, thanks.
Listen to Salam Media. Listen to something fresh. Listen to Salam Media.
Babu, why don't you loosen your belt a bit more?
But why now?
Well, it's very tight, blocking air to your brain.
Haju, this is only a start. I need to tighten up a bit more. Funds are tight and the cost of living is high.
Funds are not tight. It's your haram insurance which is tightening our budget.
Okay, Haju. I will call my insurance friend tomorrow.
Maybe I must tighten up on my cooking from now on too.
No, Haju, we don't need to tighten up. It's okay. Look, I'm even throwing away my belt.
Don't tighten your belt. Change your insurance. Leaving Riba Insurance is easier than you think. Call Amana IFS for all your personal and commercial takaful needs. 0861 786 393. Amana. Leave Riba for good. Amana IFS is a registered financial services provider.
Shimmer, sparkle, captivate. Nothing less than a masterpiece. Droplets of gold inspires precious design. Platinum bursts with intricate freshness. And every pure diamond becomes more than just a girl's best friend. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, where timeless dreams become a reality. Come to us. We tailor-make designer gold, platinum, and diamond jewelry. Trade in or remodel your old gold. Clad yourself with classy name-branded watches. We offer insurance valuation and free zakat calculation. Visit us at 534 Ridge Road, Overport, or call 031 208 9142. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, manufacturers of fine gold and diamond jewelry.
Every 60 seconds, a silent pandemic claims the life of a child. Unsafe water is having a devastating global impact on health and livelihoods. Islamic Relief is at the forefront, providing clean and safe water to vulnerable communities around the world. Our tailored approach to sustainable water solutions enable families not just to survive, but to thrive, ensuring they stay healthy and safe. Give water, give life with Islamic Relief.
Listen to something fresh. Listen to Salam Media.
19 minutes to 8 p.m. Central African Time. Welcome back. You're tuned into Salam Media. My name is Zahid Jadwat, and we are coming to you live from the IEC's Results Operations Center in Pretoria. Right now, I'm joined in studio by Professor Dirk Coetzee from the University of South Africa, the Political Science Department there. Just to quickly give us an update on the situation and your thoughts on the vote counting that has been underway for the large part of today.
Yeah, we are now very close to to having the counting for almost a day now. Yesterday it closed at 9 o'clock for most of the stations. So there is now more than 40% of in terms of the national average of ballots have been counted already. But it is still relatively early. The IEC also indicated that they want to announce the final results by Thursday. So it's about 2 days that's still left. And it is going to be exceptionally important, especially when it comes to the metros, because the metros obviously have many more voters or ballots to count. And in the past, with previous local government elections, often that is where the delays were, that the metros didn't complete their counting within time. But at this stage, what we are starting to see is sort of very preliminary trends amongst the main parties, and then also the emergence of smaller parties like Action SA, especially in Johannesburg, as being relatively prominent already. But I have to caution, one should not come to conclusions now already. There's still a lot to happen before we can say we are now at the point sort of where we are in the last phase to see what the actual results or trends will be.
All right, so Professor, I understand that you are pressed for time at the moment, so I'm just going to try and keep this as brief as possible and just quickly before I let you go. So we've seen some of the trends, and as you mentioned, it's still a bit early to make a final prediction and to come to a conclusion. Just how much scope is there for any change in the results and what we're seeing in the leaderboard between now and until the results are announced?
But what we are seeing is that the bigger parties are well established already. The ANC, the DA, the EFF to some extent already, and then, as I said, the emergence of some smaller parties. But I think what one should be cautious about is not to try to present it as a national picture, but rather to understand it's more than 250 elections actually happened, and not one election. So each one of those elections, whether it is in the middle of the Karoo or in the Northern Cape or in rural areas in KwaZulu-Natal, that election actually stands on its own feet, and it's going to produce its own results, and with its own allocation of seats and of PR and ward candidates. At the same time, I think what is significant also is the fact that there were quite a lot of small organizations that participated, almost independent. They are not completely independent, but almost. They are not part of the bigger political parties. And then there are about just over 1,500 real independents who stood completely on their own. And I think this is going to be, for this election, an interesting test also to see what can happen in 2024, because the Constitutional Court judgment of a few months ago indicated that next time in 2024, in the national and provincial elections, independent candidates must also be able to stand. So it's a bit of a preview of what are the possibilities, and I saw already that 13 independent candidates won their votes. So although it is a very small number in terms of the big picture of more than 10,000 total positions that will be filled, it is a beginning. So I think what we are seeing are some trends which are not only limited to particular locations, but also that can have maybe a relevance for the national or the provincial political situations.
All right, thank you so much for that.
Thanks very much.
That was Professor Dirk Coetzee from the University of South Africa speaking to us about the progress on the vote count for today. In fact, the IEC has just released an update saying that 90% of the results should be finalized by this evening. So I think we're going to be keeping a close eye on that as well. Right now, let's take a quick ad break, and when we get back, we will speak to the Active Citizens Coalition. Please do stay tuned.
Breaking stereotypes, moving boundaries, joining hands. Salam Media. Humanity sets the agenda.
As the crisis in Palestine continues, the Africa Muslims Agency teams are on the ground facilitating emergency food and medical assistance to the affected families. Donate 15,000 rand or any amount and help the people of Palestine. Call AMA now on 083-251-9376 or donate online at africamuslimsagency.co.za. Africa Muslims Agency, inspiring the spirit of giving.
These days, I'm more health conscious than ever. So tonight, it's stir fry for dinner, cooked in healthy Helios pure sunflower cooking oil. Helios is pure sunflower goodness, packed with omega-6. That's good for your heart and is approved as part of the Heart and Stroke Foundation eating plan. Dinner's ready! Helios, pure sunflower cooking oil. A healthy family is a happy one.
Approximately 785 million people in this world do not have access to safe, clean water. In developing countries, around 80% of all illnesses are due to contaminated water and poor sanitation. Don't let dirty water end a life. Build a water well in Bangladesh, Malawi, Nepal, Zimbabwe, or here at home in South Africa. Donate to Penny Appeal's Thirst Relief Project to bring safe, clean water to communities around the world. www.pennyappeal.org.za or call 031 1100 573. Penny Appeal. Small change, big difference.
Osman's Taj Mahal Spice and Rice. For over 80 years, Osman's Taj Mahal have been perfecting the art of the perfect blend of spices, pure, aromatic, and well-seasoned. Spices to tantalize your taste buds. From creative cuisines to gastronomical gourmet goodies. From exotic odors to traditional dishes, Osman's Taj Mahal have remained synonymous with quality spices and condiments. Taj Mahal rice, beans, and lentils. Try our range of chili bite mixes, rose and ilachi syrup, our quick and easy biryani pack, and our traditional range of spice blends. Osman's Taj Mahal. There is no substitute for quality.
Tune into Salam Media via audio stream or watch live facebook.com/Salam Media.
Welcome back. You are tuned into Salam Media. My name is Zahid Jadwat and we are coming to you live from the Independent Electoral Commission's Results Operations Centre in Pretoria. This is, of course, where the results are trickling in on the leaderboard right here in Pretoria, and we are here to bring you the latest and keep you up to speed with the results of this particular election, the 6th local government election in South Africa. And I think we've had quite an intense show thus far. We've seen, as Professor Dirk Coetzee was mentioning earlier on in the show, we've seen how the major parties sort of have established themselves in the results that we've seen so far, but it still is early days to come to a conclusion with regards to where we're gonna what we're gonna see as the outcome of this election. In fact, the IEC has just announced that they hope that 90% of the votes will be finalized by this evening. Right now we're going to be crossing over to Durban. In fact, we're going to be speaking to the Active Citizens Coalition, who is Imtiaz Sayed, president of the ACC, joins us on the line now. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to the show.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
All right, Imtiaz, I mean, the parties have been waiting with bated breath for the results of this election to see how well they've performed. The nation has also been waiting. So far, are you satisfied with the results and your party's performance in this particular election?
I think based on the fact that we're a new party, yes, we are, to a certain degree. The results coming in from the ground and not really on the actual leaderboard speaks to us being quite good contenders in this election. However, it must be said that not all of it's in, and I think we're trickling in only about 6 to 8 wards that have been actually counted out of 111. So it's pretty early days in order to make any sort of assumption as to how it's going to be and what it's going to be turnout. But actually, it all just lies in the numbers at the end of the day.
I mean, it is important that you mention that, firstly, this is a new political party. It's the first time you've been you've contested in an election. And it still is, of course, early days as well, as the results are trickling in. But at this stage, where do you think the party stands with regard in the broader scheme of things? Imtiaz Sayed, I just want to make sure you can hear me.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Would you like me to repeat the question, or have you
Yes,
been able
please.
to hear it? Okay. So I was just mentioning that, it is important that you mentioned that this is the first time the ACC has contested in an election. And also importantly, it is still early days with regards to the vote counts. I mean, only around 40% of the results have come through and it's still trickling in. But at this stage, where do you see your party standing in the broader scheme of things?
Well, we do already see a few PR seats popping up. That's where we currently see it. We can't really go into exactly where we do see ourselves because as much as nationally it's looking at 40%, but based on us down here, we're only sitting on about 10% in terms of the count in actual fact. And based on that, you'd see that there's many wards that we're running in that haven't been counted yet. So it's still early days. Quite a few wards of ours that we feel strongly about haven't come in terms of results. On the ground, last night when we did the count at the voting stations, it was looking quite promising in especially the predominantly overport areas, wherein we found that even though it might have been a particular ward would have been won by the ANC and second place would have been to the DA, we ended up coming out in third place with quite a few votes, and then the gap between everyone else looked rather small in comparison, So some of us were in the hundreds and some of us were in the 50s, and that's clear and evident. So it's looking quite promising, and we can't really speculate at this time because we're running in 80 wards, and like I said, quite a few of them we don't have a strong hold in. So we're crossing our fingers and hoping to do well.
Yeah, I mean, we are going to be taking the IEC's press briefing live in a few minutes. I think they are scheduled to address the media in about 5 minutes or so. But just quickly, to wrap up, I mean, for the ACC, the ward of Phoenix in Durban, north of Durban, it has been quite an important ward for many parties, especially, it has been quite hotly contested. The DA, having embroiled itself in controversy there. But as we've seen now, the Democratic Alliance has emerged as the winner in that ward. What's your reaction to this as the ACC?
I think the preliminary tabling of the votes is indicating that the DA has taken Chatsworth and Phoenix. Ultimately, we can understand that they might have and they could have, but we can't really understand how do they get to it because the gap between the DA and any other party for that matter is quite large. And there is something that's amiss there. We're not really understanding that. And I'm not going to go into it in terms of speculating what it actually happened. But I think it's very important for us to understand that we, in KZN, I think we're running on a 36% voter apathy. So ultimately, we're down 40% from last year in terms of how many people turned up at the polling station. And there's many variables as to why that would have happened. So in any scenario, you'd see that the DA is winning wards with just basically about 1,900 to 2,000 votes. And that's the reality when we're speaking about 33,000 people. So that speaks to the current climate of politics and the current climate of voting that we have. And ultimately, it's not really representative. You can say you win the ward, but it's not really all representative of what we needed to have achieved. We're not upset at it. We're not despondent about it. We don't think that we've done justice to giving an understanding of exactly what we were really trying to achieve in terms of the active citizens coding.
All right, and just finally, are there any particular wards in Itagwini which the ACC is eyeing to take control over?
Well, I think the one ward that we were trying to get a hold of was in Ward 101, which has gone to by-election, because unfortunately, pre-election, the ANC councillor there had been assassinated, or murdered rather. And however, the ANC did win in that ward, however, you've got a deceased councillor. So at the end of the day, it comes down to that ward now going into by-election. The wards that we felt strongly about, unfortunately, we've lost, which is Ward 31, Ward 30 and Ward 27. We've lost it today by, I wouldn't say great margins, but there are margins there and they do exist. So that's really where we are and where we're coming from.
All right, thank you so much for that.
Jazakallah so much.
That was Imtiaz Sayed, the president of the Active Citizen Coalition, with the party, which rather new. I mean, it's the first time that the party has actually contested any election, and they contested in Durban, of course. We are actually waiting now for the IEC to initiate a press briefing and to address the media to provide an update on the progress of vote counting today. But as things stand at the moment, I think 50% of the ballots have been counted. The ANC is now preparing to enter talks with regards to coalitions. Of course, that's one of the dominant themes of this election. We've seen many discussions with regards to this. But I mean, this is just the national picture, just, seeing about 50% of the votes having been counted. But I mean, as Professor Dirk Coetzee had mentioned earlier on, this is actually around 250 elections in one, because if you look at it at a local level. But I think right now the spokesperson for the IEC, Kate Papela, has begun the address to the media right here in Pretoria at the IEC's Result Operation Center. We take that live. Please do stay tuned.
The